And we're going. Welcome back to the Movie Well Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mac.
Heck yeah, I'm embracing it. Okay, so that joke's not going to make any sense yet because we make those jokes in the next marathon, not this one. Oh no. Foreshadowing! This is the closest our recording has ever been to when it's posted, because this will actually go up in like a day if I get it right.
Oh wow.
Because it's got to go up this week before the next marathon starts next week. So yes, we are finishing up the Jurassic Park franchise marathon. We're on Jurassic World Rebirth, directed by I just had it and I just lost it. Crap on a cracker. Do you know who it's directed by? Who's this one directed by?
Oh, I'm gonna look that up.
Okay. Oh, here I found it. Gareth Edwards. Came out July 2nd of this year, obviously. Cast is Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Luna Blaze, Mahershala Ali, Rupert Friend. His last name is Friend. Ed Scarin for like 10 seconds. David Lacono, and then Audrina Miranda as the little one, and Bashir Sylvain. Yeah, bunch of cool people. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Why? What's up?
Rupert Friend. I didn't know any of the actors' names other than Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey and Mahershala Ali. But Rupert Friend, I was like, is that the one that plays the villain? I think it is. Mm-hmm. It is. The only thing I really know him from is from his portrayal of Mr. Wickham in Pride and Prejudice.
Oh.
And he's also a bad guy in that
nice.
one. So it's weird to me that his last name is Friend, because he's not a friend.
I legitimately thought it was Orlando Bloom for a second because of like his face.
That's so fair.
It totally threw me. I was like, did I not catch in any of the trailers that was Orlando Bloom? Like,
he kind of looks like Orlando Bloom in the Pride and Prejudice movie too,
yeah,
a little bit.
Like, yeah, and I was with my friend and he leaned over and he legit asked, like, is that the Pirates guy? The one who's not Johnny Depp? And I was like, you mean Orlando Bloom? I was like, yeah, Orlando Bloom.
It's still not as funny as the Hobbit movies, though, where Bard looks more like Orlando Bloom than Legolas did.
Yeah, that's funny. That's weird. But anyway, Jurassic World Rebirth, we have to do a couple of quick disclaimers just because of what we've said in previous marathons. I do not believe you can have a solidified opinion on a film unless you see it multiple times. I've only seen it once. So my opinions on this are not only fresh, but are very subject to change, as is we are wont to do, especially with movies with giant monsters in them. So
they're kind of like a first draft, where like the things we're expressing are genuine, but they may be revised at a later date.
However, yes, I will say though, my opinions on the Jurassic Park movies, other than I would say maybe Jurassic Park 2, have been mostly consistent in that Jurassic Park 1 is perfection. The second one is fine. The third one is dumb but fun. Jurassic World is good. Fallen Kingdom I like, even though I know people don't. And Dominion I hate. This one I had a lot of fun with. I have positives. I have negatives. Obviously, it's seems to be a bit of a divisive movie currently. I've seen a lot on TikTok of people pointing out how dumb it is, and most of the comments just being like, don't you people know how to have fun? I've seen some complaints.
I've seen a lot of the trend of like my rankings of the Jurassic Park films, and it's just like 10 out of 10s. This one has dinosaurs. This movie has dinosaurs.
Yes, exactly.
This movie has dinosaurs.
I've seen some complaints that I agree with, others I don't. I'm excited to get into it. What's your what are your general thoughts? Like where we landed?
So I never go to my Jurassic Park films for highbrow literature, I'm going to call it. Not that there is anything wrong, like, not that everything, I just don't think that movies have to be heavy-hitting, impactful stories every time, right? The crazy thing is, the first film kind of is that. And the rest of them, honestly, do a decent job at carrying on that kind of conversation. Now, it's never like a psychological thriller, so to speak. Like, it's never focused solely on that debate or that argument, but everything that happens in the film aids that conversation. They honestly do a really good job, especially in the first one, of sort of being like, this is a conversation about science. And as fun and as amazing as it is to see these creatures, the awe that we have of them and the fear that we have of them is a part of the conversation about like nature and what we as scientists and humans are doing with the power that science, also capitalism, and how capitalism interferes with that sort of process. This one, I think, kind of perfectly inherited that theme and that focus on that theme, which is to say that there is a theme, there is a conversation about the power of science, about capitalism, about what we're ethically responsible for when it comes to genetic science. But it doesn't steal the stage when it comes from being, I think this one, maybe more so than any others, is primarily a thriller. Like the way that they start it, the like stark red and black logo, the fact that we're working with genuine genetic monstrosities in this film, this one more than any other really explores the abuses, we'll say, of genetic science and, you know, sort of playing God going wrong. No matter how many safety precautions you have, you're always going to have that guy who's snacking and it ruins it for everybody. So I like this film a lot. I feel like it's perfectly in line with the Jurassic Park franchise, even though it does kind of take things to the next step. Like, I think it's perfectly in line with the conversations the franchise has been having. And while I wouldn't necessarily say that it's one of my favorite movies, I think it solidly belongs in like good Jurassic Park movie status. You know, like it's a good one to add to the franchise.
Yeah, sure. I would agree. Yeah. So, like, would you like to start with positives then, and we could get into nitpicks and
Sure.
overall negatives?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we need to recap the movie as a whole, since this is like a new one, or do you think it really matters? Because we
probably should give a spoiler alert.
Oh, we have spoilers, of course, absolute spoilers.
We're not gonna hold back. We're gonna talk about all the things.
I don't think we need to do a recap. I think that bogs it down. Oh, okay, well, I mean, if you think we should.
Yeah.
Then...
Well, I was gonna say maybe, but like, I can't think of any way I would recap it that's kind of outside the trailer. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
people, or you know, the generic, like, people go to Dinosaur Place. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
People die via dinosaur.
Yeah.
Some people make it out from Dinosaur Place.
Sure. Yep. You did it. Cool. Okay.
There are kids and scientists and mercenaries. Yeah.
So I guess if we were to start with the positives, I would say, first of all, I like most of the characters. I have seen some people saying that the characters feel either shallow or they're uninteresting. I can almost understand where you're coming from, because it's a deviation from what we're used to with the kind of characters that go to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. I honestly, though, enjoyed the new perspective, and I liked that of our team, everyone is like a competent character, and I like the chemistry between the characters. Honestly, I like the interactions. I like the interactions between Bailey and Johansson. I like the interactions between Johansson and Ali. I love the moment in the I don't know what it would be, the bridge of the boat where Duncan and what's her name? What is her name? Scarlett Johansson's character. That's going to be an indication that they Zora. That's what we kept calling Zia during the Jurassic Worlds.
Yeah, so true.
Zora and Duncan. I honestly like their conversation, them referencing their past and their adventures, because it felt like the kind of friendship that people have where you see each other like once a year and it's like no time has passed. It felt like that. I thought they did really well. And then in the trailers, Johansson looked like she was going to be, like, the dialogue, the writing was like cheesy knockoff superhero dialogue. It didn't feel like that in this. If she felt kind of sarcastic in a very genuine, down to earth way. Like I like that and I appreciated that. I like all of the dinosaur sequences. We talked about it being a flaw in some of the previous ones, is the dinosaurs don't get a chance to shine. I feel like all of the new dinosaurs do. Every one of them got a moment. The Mosasaur moment is pretty great. I would have liked maybe a little more Spinosaurus, just because they're new and it's been a while since we had the Spinosaurus. I have a pin in that.
Sure.
The Titanosaur moment, glorious. I like that the sauropods have been a consistent symbol of wonder and magic, if you will,
Yeah.
in the Jurassic Park franchise.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
I like that Jonathan Bailey, goes up and touches the one. I think it's great. The Quetzalcoatl sequence was really cool. We got more time with it. I saw someone say that all of the cool moments of the movies in the trailer. That's objectively false. That's what happened in Dominion. That's not what happened here. Like, there's more of the Titanosaur, there's more of Quetzalcoatlus, there's more of Mosasaurus. They saved most of the D-Rex for the ending, which was awesome.
That's true.
Then the Mutodon
They only
sequence
gave
was
us
cool.
really the beginning sequence with the D-Rex in the trailer, which is a really, really good choice. I do feel like, to give that person a little bit more credit, I do feel like they started revealing more moments of dinosaurs in the later trailers,
Fair.
like on TikTok, for example, that bit with the T-Rex rolling in the grass. That wasn't really a thing until the movie came out, and all of a sudden it was everywhere. You couldn't escape it.
Yeah,
So that would have been a really cool moment to see in theaters, not knowing it was coming. But because, I exist in a place that I access the internet, I knew it was coming when I saw the movie. I feel like that's a bit of a disappointment. But you are correct in saying that they didn't show us like the end sequence stuff very often. Like, we pretty much all that stuff in like the vents and with the D-Rex, all of that was saved for the film, which is good, including the bit where the little girl goes out on her own, which is something they absolutely would have put in a trailer if someone wasn't like, hey, hold on, that's the last bit of our film, let's not do that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, that was good. I have seen people point out though that the dinosaurs are beautiful, the cinematography is great, it makes them feel big, all of which I agree with.
Yeah.
I love
they
the
were
colors.
all really big.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't hate the family. I was expecting that I would. I've seen a lot of people say they absolutely hate the family. I do not hate the family. They seem, I think, mostly believable. The boyfriend character, I do hate.
Interesting character.
I hate for I think the right reasons. I hate that I love that he's a believable kind of stupid. There are so many characters like that are so cartoonishly dumb and stupid, and I know so many guys just like that. Like, exact, like copy paste. It's so real that I had to respect it, and I was so ready for him to get eaten. And like, they tease you a little bit because, like, I think they're expecting you to expect it.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's presented at the very beginning as one of those jerks that, like, traditionally in this genre, in this franchise, deservedly gets eaten by a dinosaur. And we all kind of go, finally, we didn't like him around to begin with. But he ends up being, I don't know, just a very real dude in the sense that he's incredibly annoying and lazy, and he knows that he is. But when it comes down to it, he puts his life on the line for the other members of the family, particularly his girlfriend, but like other members just in general. And when when the dad needs help, when there's real danger and stuff, he's there and he's present. I will say, I do feel like there is criticism to be had around the family. Like, why were they in dinosaur-infected waters? The impression I got from that is that they were on a path that wasn't supposed to have dinosaurs on it, because he said that this is the path that plenty of people do all the time.
Yeah.
But because dinosaurs and nature, things are not totally predictable. Honestly, they could have just gotten blown off path. Like, there's so many reasons for them to accidentally end up in dinosaur waters that it doesn't really bother me that happened. And then in general, there are just the losers who feel like this is a movie about professional, mercenaries and scientists. Why do we have to throw a family sort of artificially in here? That would be a good argument if this wasn't the Jurassic Park franchise.
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park franchise kind of demands kid. Like, there has to be a family and a kid involved. So I'm not mad about it. I think it works.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been upset if they weren't in it. I just don't think that they really hurt anything by being in it. I do think that their journey across the island could be improved, for sure. I don't think it's flawless. I like their sequence with the T-Rex, though. I think that's cool. That's also right out of the book.
That's a good sequence. Oh, really? Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. The raft sequence is right out of the book, which I do have a bigger point about, which we'll come back to. Not in a bad way. But yeah, I think it's just because I think they're believable and they feel very genuine. I enjoy it. I feel like it's not a huge coincidence. I thought what was going to happen was they were going to crash on the island, and it was going to just so happen to be at the same time that other people were on the island. But it's not. They get fucked up by a dinosaur, which is hanging out around there, which they didn't really know, and our characters choose to involve them, which I like more than the coincidence of we're all just on the island at the same time. So,
I really do think it adds to this sort of, they go very gray with the mercenaries here, where they're definitely like money hungry, dangerous mercenaries. They're scamming people a little bit for, an extra 10 million. But at the same time, these are not like your cartoon villain.
They're not cartoon. Yeah, they're not cartoon villains.
Yeah.
Except
there's a family calling
guy.
for help, and they ought to help those who are distressed. Like, that's sort of a rule of the waters, and their lives are genuinely on the line, so they go out there and they save them. Like, there's humanity. This whole conversation that exists between Ali's character and Johansson's character, about their families and their histories and their pasts, and the fact that there's kind of a character arc with Zora's character. All of this stuff is secondary to kind of what's going on in the film, but because the family is there, it actually ends up really highlighting it, because the main thing that separates the mercenaries from the capitalist pig in this movie is the fact that he was willing to sacrifice an innocent life for his profit, where they're willing to risk their own lives for profit, but not the family's lives. The moment they find out about it, they basically would have attacked him, given a better situation than what they were given. Instead the dinosaur takes care of it for them.
Yeah.
The family ends up being important to the morally gray elements of the mercenaries. And that's kind of the only real important role they play.
Yeah.
But it works. It works.
I think it could have been helped if they weren't separated so drastically in the whole.
Split up the party.
What?
Like, some mercenaries are with some of the family.
I was gonna say, like, that would have been really good. Like, if the littlest kid was with Zora, Bailey, and the one of the other crew members, but then Duncan was with the dad and the teenagers, and so like Duncan is trying to smack some sense into the boyfriend, and the girlfriend is telling him about the bad guy. Because one of my critiques is that the family has very few obstacles, from Spinosaurus infected waters to this compound surrounded by dinosaurs, at least 24 species, no hitches at all. Like, at all. None.
Even the T-Rex.
Right. Like, which also wasn't the biggest issue at the end of the day, because, like, of all the T-Rexes we found, this one lets things go pretty.
His belly was full.
I guess, but like every other Rex we've seen has a grudge that we see come back again and again and again and again. So it would have been cool if they had a more, adventure badass that could help them get to where they're going and to keep them alive. And then our badasses on the other side have a kid to take care of. It could have been interesting. But it was staying on positives for a little longer. I don't hate the goal, the mission, because as we said with Dominion, this whole, why are we making new dinosaurs? Well, for pharmaceutical reasons. Never discuss why. This idea, though, of there are dinosaurs, and from this we can make something pharmaceutical, and the reason being the heart thing, the biggest hearts. I don't know if there's any truth to that at all. I bought it. I'm fully in. I think that idea is interesting, and them needing DNA from the 3 biggest things that explore different environments, and all of those being near that island. I'm down for that, man. I am. I think the sequence of getting the Titanosaur DNA could have been a little longer, just because while it is a magnificent, beautiful sequence, the Quetzalcoatlus is right after. They don't even have to look for that thing. It's right there. They look up and it's there. So something to prolong that a little bit might have been nice.
They were gonna die in that grass, man. They walked into that field of grass up to their shoulders, and I went, "Oh, this is bad."
Me too. My friend and I were like, "You never walk into the long grass with the dinosaurs. You never walk into the long grass." So I thought Bailey set that up well. It's like, well, do we have to be scared of the titanosaurs? No, but you have to be scared of the things that hunt them. And my first thought was like, bullshit. Nothing hunts titanosaurs. But that would have been an interesting opportunity to introduce something maybe that hunts the titanosaurs. We don't do that. So could have done something there. I want to stay on positives as long as I can because I do have some nitpicks. What do you have? Like a big positive?
We've hit a lot of them already. The chase sequences are really good. I liked a lot of the callback moments. Those were good.
The D-Rex
I felt like
spooky.
in particular, anything with a hand that big.
Oh yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
I thought the sequence in the little like gas station with the winged raptor
very
things,
much like the kitchen.
Yep, and yet it was different enough to make you feel like you were still seeing something new. But if you actually look at like the breakdown of the choreography,
it's very
almost
much
exactly the
same.
same. It's very impressive.
I like it.
They just go down instead of up. Like there's a whole bunch. Oh shoot, I actually straight to the end. I actually really liked that Duncan survives. I think that's a really good departure from the cliche.
I agree, but I don't hate that he survives. I just hate that they got him because I think that would have been an awesome sequel. Was Johansson going back to try to save him and him surviving for a while on the island? Because her knowing
very
about
Search for Spock.
Yes, very Search for Spock / Jurassic Park 3 with more of a reason, to go back. It's like he's this guy with resources. They're at that thing, and the D-Rex doesn't die. There's nothing that fights it. So like she's like, I got to get these people back, but then I'm turning around, man. I'm going back. That would be awesome.
That would be really good, actually.
Right?
Kind of sad they didn't do that.
I thought that's what they were gonna do. But let's see. I said before, but I wanted to finish the thought. I like that our team of scientists and people on the island, they're all qualified, including Bailey. Like he's not just some sort of I've never left the office. He said he's been in the field under Grant. Love that. I like that. He's not putting on bug spray and sunscreen and stuff. Like he's in the dirt. He knows how to do it. That's awesome. I like that.
And he's also a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So rather than like the awkward nerd who like doesn't know how to do anything, he's kind of leaning into all of it. They realistically like check him a little bit. He's like, I can make the shot.
Right.
She's like, okay, let me show you why you can't make the shot.
Right.
But when she is taking the shot, he is right there securing her, helping her. Also, just kind of being there when he doesn't really need to be. So making the dinosaur scientist a bit of an adrenaline junkie was also a fun creative choice that they made. Like he clearly hadn't done any of it before, but he was also on board to do all of it. He didn't really need to repel, did he? But he absolutely did anyway. And then I also liked, what was it? We're talking about competency of characters. The family, in a little bit of a movie magic way, but also just sort of like in a genuine way, pretty competent.
Yeah.
They knew how to sail, right? Yeah, they knew how to sail, and that meant they were really strong swimmers and really good at like general survival. They would know what they would need to do to stay alive in case of an emergency. Now, should they have been able to escape all the many dinosaurs that are on their path?
Yeah.
Probably not. But we already kind of talked about how it would be a little bit better to split the party just like a little bit, mix up the members just a touch, and that would have fixed that. Would have made it better a little bit. But I do feel like the whole sequence with the T-Rex is very within the wheelhouse of those characters. They made them just competent enough to like kind of survive an encounter with a really dangerous dinosaur, but they also lowered the stakes enough where it's also believable that they could do that. Like the T-Rex was asleep when they first encountered it. The T-Rex had a big meal over to the side and was clearly just sort of like lazily chasing them. This T-Rex was not angry at them. He was just sort of like, there are some bipedal animals flipping around in the water over here, and I'm gonna check it out and see if it's a snack I can easily eat. Turned out not to be easy. Walked away, went back to his nap, right? Like that's a low stakes
Sure.
dinosaur encounter for a T-Rex, and the family being high enough in competency with like a boat and water just in general, is able to get out. Generally believe that. Like that's a good way to put a believable like competency level in your non mercenary scientist characters.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess you could get a little nitpicky about them taking a dinosaur with them, but I don't really care. I think it's cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's something new. It's kind of fun.
I was kind of
Um,
hoping it would come into play a little bit
Me
more,
too.
but as
See,
it stands, I think we just gained a dinosaur pet, and that's honestly kind of fun as
yeah,
is.
and they
So
take it with
whatever.
them, which at first I was like,
Yeah.
oh, don't do that, but I was like, well, this is a world filled with dinosaurs, kind of at this point. So,
Mhm.
um, let's see
As long as
here.
it's an indoor pet, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you feel with the fact that the dinosaurs only really could survive around the equator?
I'm mixed on that, but like a 75-25 mix because that idea I really dig. It feels a little bit like backtracking, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it makes sense. It still allows for future movies to take place in other places.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I kind of like that. Um, what I don't buy at all is that the world is just over dinosaurs. I call
Agreed.
complete bullshit on that.
It was too fast.
It was too
It
fast,
was
and
too fast.
it's even so. It still doesn't make sense. We talked about that in Jurassic World, where it's like kids look at a Stegosaurus like you see an elephant at the zoo. I'm 28, and I'm still in awe of elephants and giraffes at the zoo. If you put in
Mm-hmm.
front of me a Stegosaurus, that's gonna be the best thing of my entire life. And so I absolutely
Mm-hmm.
call bullshit on people being bored. What I honestly find harder to believe is Jonathan Bailey's character is like 5 years ago, people would be in line to see this museum, and now they're not. I find it harder to believe that anyone would give a shit about dinosaur museums when dinosaurs
Mm-hmm.
are alive, ever. You know, like that's our only
I disagree a
connection.
little bit.
Because like if you have right now, if you have a museum filled with dinosaurs or a museum filled with animals that exist today's skeletons, I do not care about the animal that exists today's skeletons. I want to go to the dinosaur one. But if the option is a museum with dinosaur bones or a zoo with dinosaurs, I'm going to go to the zoo. But Jonathan's character is
If you
like,
have the money to go to the zoo.
right, but also we're in a world right now where there's dinosaurs all over the world out and about. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because people are tired of dinosaurs that they're no longer going to the museum. That I just find weird. I feel like Jonathan Bailey's character, his motivation is already not related to money. I don't think you had to put in this weird idea that people no longer go to museums. Museums are dying anyway. Dinosaurs
Mm-hmm.
existing, I don't think is going to change that either way. Because they're
Mm-hmm.
implying that dinosaurs being around made it go up, and then dinosaurs being extra around made it go down completely. But now dinosaurs dying is not changing anything. Like I found that part to be a little confusing. Um,
I find it to be a bit. I think what they were trying to do. Hmm. So, in the marketing of this movie, and in like some interviews with the director and whatnot, pretty sure it's the director, they were talking about how the monsters in this film are genetic monsters, not just straight up dinosaurs, because audiences are kind of like quote unquote tired of the dinosaur. Now, I think we can debate that a little bit,
mhm.
but he is kind of right in the general sense that escalating the stakes is harder to do when you have a bunch of movies with dinosaurs in them, and a few of them have already included hybrid genetic monsters that were like the big bads of the film, right? So this film is like admittingly taking that step further and being like, we are no longer talking about nature at all. We are talking about like big old monsters, human creations that are complete deviations from any sort of real natural world. They're just bred disasters. And I think they were trying to make it sort of like a meta conversation in world with the
Sure,
characters too,
sure.
where the characters are like, dinosaurs are par for the course. There's just dinosaur dying in the street and everyone's just upset because it's blocking traffic, you know? Like they were trying to do a bit of a thing with that. And then when they get to the the genetically modified monsters would be more of a deal because people are like, well, dinosaurs are dinosaurs, whatever. It's like seeing a raccoon. Except for it's not.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs are never like seeing a raccoon because,
Right.
like you were saying, you put me in front of an elephant or a giraffe, I sit there and I just look at it for a bit because even though I've done that before, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to believe. It's hard to see. You do that with something that's supposed to be prehistoric and dead. You add to the wonder. I don't really care how long they've been around. Maybe that would fade a little bit, right? Like the first time someone creates a dinosaur and opens a dinosaur park, that is big news. Second time somebody does it, big news, but not as big news. 10th time somebody does it, okay, now there are 10 dinosaur parks. Crazy, fun thing to do, but it's less of like groundbreaking thing. So like there is a bit of a die off, but I do not think it would be as dead as they portray it to be in the movie.
Right.
They maybe overplayed that a little bit. Yeah.
I think that's a good. We're also at halfway point. I think that's a good segue into some nitpicks and some negatives, because I do think this was a missed opportunity in making that commentary. That's all good and fine, but we've done that already. That's Jurassic World, and we kind of deviate from that commentary into weird bioweapons, because with what the Titanosaur looks like, and kind of what the Quetzalcoatlus looks like, and definitely what the Spinosauruses look like, I thought we were going to go the route of these were the dinosaurs that were made. This is the new Site B. This is Site C for Jurassic World. This is where they made the new dinosaurs, and they started off making them too authentic, giving more credence to Wu's comment in Jurassic World. If their genetic code was pure, they would look different, but you didn't want that. You wanted more teeth. You want what the public thinks dinosaurs look like. So that's what I gave you. If we went, I thought it'd be a really great opportunity to go to an island in which the dinosaurs look the way the best scientific projections actually showed them. And they did that with the Spinosauruses. The Spinosauruses look very much like what we actually think they would look like, which I thought was great. My Jurassic Park fan brain was a little disappointed with how casual they are around because the presence of the Spinosaurus was terrifying, and we don't have that anymore. They're terrifying monsters, but like the part where they're on the beach and you can just see the sails around, it just felt like the presence had been removed. And so I wish we would.
It does feel like, especially since just talk about that moment for a second, especially since Henry, the scientist, calls out, they're amphibious, they're gonna come on land, gotta keep moving. They hang out the beach way too long.
Way too long. Thank you. I wanted like the part where the one rolls over was awesome. I love that. But I was waiting for one to walk out of the water, shake it off, and give us the Spinosaurus roar that we haven't heard since 2003. Like that deep, crazy roar. And then we go on this adventure where we're dealing with dinosaurs that are really, really accurate to the science. We don't get a lot of that elsewhere, but I was kind of hoping for that. And that's why they abandoned this park, or this island in the end, because there's not consistency in what we're doing here. And there's not a lot of info in the end, because you've got a whole pack of Spinosaurus for some reason, even though Engine knows that thing was a pain in the ass, and they made more, and that one is scientifically accurate. None of the other ones really are in the end, except I would say the Titanosaur and a little bit of the Quetzalcoatlus, because they're also actively trying to make Mutodons for whatever fucking reason, and the D-Rex, which I am equal parts intrigued, terrified, and just completely baffled. Because I honestly thought, even on this secret island facility, that the D-Rex might have been a secret buried within a secret in the basement. But it's not. It's very much something they're working on. They've named it. They know what it is. And I don't understand what it is they were trying to do in the end. Because I understand, reading online, it was like they were trying to clone a Rex, and it went very poorly. Okay, fine. Why do you still have it then? What are you doing? What are you learning from it?
They do address that in the film, just that, when an experiment with the dinosaur doesn't work out, you don't destroy the material. You keep it either on ice or in cages just in case you could use it later because of how expensive it was.
I
It'd be
guess.
like trying to build a robot and kind of pulling it off so it does kind of function and live, but it's a little bit janky, and it costs like $20 billion. And you'd be like, because it's a little bit janky, I'm gonna completely melt it down. Like, you're not gonna do that. It's probably not an equivalent ratio, but like,
Right.
it's a really expensive science project. Even if it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, you're gonna keep it in case you could use it later in something.
I suppose. I was scratching my head a little bit with that.
Mhm.
In
Yeah, I
that,
don't think there was ever any plan to release that to the park, but they were
well,
definitely
yeah, yeah, yeah.
studying
Well,
it.
I
Mhm.
wondered like what they were studying it for, because
That's fair.
it's not a hybrid of anything. It's not a combo. It's just a failed clone that got, I would
We don't
argue,
really
way
know.
too big.
We don't really know why for any of the experiments on this island
Hmm.
beyond let's see what we can do. And I'm kind of okay with that in the film because there's not really a reason why our characters would know what the scientists' goals were with it.
Sure.
And honestly, I kind of just like the fact that it contrasts really nicely with what the mercenaries are trying to do, which is collect medicines from specific dinosaurs because of their natural qualities.
Hmm.
And then the monsters of the film, the real dangers, are the ones that are just horrible science experiments gone wrong. So
Right.
it's, you know, we have managed to resurrect a bit of nature and now we can use that nature for medicine versus we have to fight through all of the really bad
Hmm.
scientific consequences of people playing god. And that's kind of interesting.
I suppose.
It is a little bit dissatisfying from a world building perspective though. Like what was this facility for exactly? Were they trying
Yeah.
to come up with cause like dinosaurs that looked really good for the park? Were they trying to come up with really dangerous dinosaurs? Were they trying to
Hmm.
come up with medicines? Like what was the goal of the
Right.
scientist
Because
at the park?
it would have been interesting if we just embraced the D-Rex idea, shall we say, and that all the dinosaurs are just monsters. Because, like, they say that this is where the worst ones were left behind. That's not really true. The Quetzalcoatlus is no different than the other Quetzalcoatlus we see. The Titanosaur is just
Mhm.
huge. And quick note, there's no fucking way that island supports a herd of 100 of those things. There's just no
No,
way. There's no
seriously.
way. They're so big. There's so many. How? Anyway,
It was way too big.
right.
I mean,
And
the
like
herd, way too
we
big.
see compies and they're red instead of green. We see an ankylosaurus, we see a parasaurolophus, a rex. Like, they're all just dinosaurs. They're just regular dinosaurs. So I was kind of hoping, a part of me thought, even with the trailer, that maybe the Indominus Rex was truly, truly the final draft. But it was like
Mhm.
8 drafts, and we were going to see every other failed monster that was leading into that. And we didn't
Kind of
get
cool.
that. That would have been very cool, and we didn't get that
Mhm.
necessarily, because we kind of do get a combo of, this is a classic, awesome Jurassic Park dinosaur adventure romp slash this is a terrible affront to God with the monsters that
Mhm.
men are making and they shouldn't be. It's like, I see both. I like
Mhm.
both. I don't know if both are mixing really well. The human's journey
Mhm.
from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3 makes sense. But it kind of feels
Mhm.
like the world we're in from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3 is Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park. All of a sudden, Star Wars? Like, not that level of, like, the technology changes, but the things we're dealing with change pretty drastically.
For the way that they describe the island, it is very confusing that we are going to the scientific genetic weird mutation island for the three natural
Right.
DNA samples that we need, and then to encounter mostly realistic slash natural dinosaur creations, and then all of a sudden the third act be like horrible monster creations. it's a little bit jarring. It would have been maybe a touch better if they had explained that the most of the island is just like regular dinosaur experiments, and then specifically this village community had like a wing that was dedicated to horrible genetic experiments, and some of them broke out. You know, that would have been way more of a solid world building place to start with. Maybe, I mean, we as audience members, I think keep the trailers more or less the same. So it's not like a huge twist for the audience members, but maybe keep the genetic mutation stuff a secret from the characters. Maybe they don't realize what the extent of the science was on this island. They think they're just going to a regular dinosaur island,
Right.
which is a thing. And then the closer they get to the village compound, the weirder the dinosaurs get. Dolores would have been a great hint at this if, like, you know, the characters didn't realize what was going on, because what is this weird little, like, raccoon-sized triceratops going on? Like, what's happening there? Like, that would have been a really fun way, I think, to sort of amp up the stakes and make this make sense, where they were going for the natural dinosaurs, but as it turns out, there were also genetic monsters on the island.
See, I meant to say something similar too, because it'd be fun if they went thinking, like you said, and then Jonathan Bailey's character is useless in a good way, and that nothing he knows is here. Like there's nothing that he can really help with, because the dinos are combos of different dinos. They're in places they shouldn't be. They're doing things they shouldn't be. Like all that. So yeah, I agree. I think you kind of mentioned something. I think it would be a good segue as far as the dinosaurs breaking out. Hardcore gloss over that, because first of all, the Snickers bar thing is stupid. I understand at first.
It's product placement and it's bad.
Because at first I was like, just use almost anything else. A memo, a plastic bag, and then I was like, don't do that at all. Because how many doors can you think of that have a vent in them? This movie, though, has the raft sequence, which is right out of the book. And it has the Mutodon chewing on the bars to get into the tunnel. That's right out of the book. Different environment, different dinosaur, but visually the same. So I think it would have been better if they have already lost track of the compies, which is a book thing, and the compies are everywhere, and they don't know it. They're chewing up the wires. They're in the vents. They're causing issues. And we watch one very a better version of the Superman 3 opening with like something leading to something, or like we just watch the animal go from place to place.
This sort of like a beginning credits thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes. That would have been really cool, because the Snickers thing is stupid, and it ruins, otherwise, I think, an amazing opening, because I think of all the movies, top 5 most tragic deaths is that guy, because the acting of just that one dude, that science extra, it's his, I feel it, I believe it, and I'm terrified for him, but then questions afterwards, because we go from that to roughly 17 years later, and dinosaurs are out and about. However, we end that moment. That moment is tragic because they stopped it from escaping. So what happened after that? What's going on? The security system shuts down and reboots by everything closing. So everything is secure. So what happened? What happened to where all the dinosaurs got out? We don't know.
You know, it's interesting. I think that's a good point. This one's not exactly on that point, but it's similar. The beginning of the film, this one, feels kind of like a quick recap of just like the Jurassic Park idea, which is we make dinosaurs get loose because of human mistake. And that works really well, but doing it through like the snack wrapper thing is not really working, because it makes the one guy look like a complete idiot, even if it is fairly normal for people to snack in places they're not supposed to snack. And a science teacher is going to show that clip in their science classes and be like, this is why you don't eat in my lab. It kind of undercuts our sympathetic feeling for the character, which I think we're definitely supposed to feel sympathetic for him as he's getting taken because of the acting, right? Like it's good, but he's also the one that kind of like brought it on himself,
right?
And he ruined it for everybody else. I just get the sense that it would have been better to show another version of a human mistake. I like the compy idea because that feels very much like we think we can control nature, but we can't. And that's very in line with the themes too. But I think to keep the framework of that first sequence feeling kind of like a quick recap of the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park idea, which is man makes dinosaurs, man makes a mistake, dinosaurs get out, that I think would be fun to maintain. Don't have a better idea than snack wrap thing. Maybe it could be intentional sabotage because that's what it is in the first film too, but that complicates things. So I don't know. Point is, I think it's a really good opening, except for the Snickers
wrap,
thing,
yeah,
and that's why it's so irritating because everything else about it is
really
so
cool.
Good, and it's just the Snickers. Product placement ruined it, dude.
We take away the Snickers, though, those other implications still bug me a little bit because it's implying that everything broke out and has been broken out since 2005, before Jurassic World got up and running. So you as a company have now lost control of technically 3 islands, and you want to keep going? Because if you wanted to say, well, they had this island functioning until Jurassic World went dark, and then everyone left, and classic... then these ones got out, and those that got out got the others out, and so on and so forth. I'll buy that. I can buy that. That's fine. But what you're telling me here is that the D-Rex broke out in like 2005, 2006, and no one has ever heard of it. No one has ever come across this island. No one ever reported this because Jurassic Park was dealing with crazy legal issues because one guy got killed by a raptor. What happened to this dude? His family didn't care? What's going on there? What's going on? I don't think these are unfair questions to ask. So
the timeline is strange. The timeline is strange.
It was a strange choice.
I didn't realize it until you pointed it out. Yeah.
It's a little because it's not necessary. You don't have to say that this D-Rex thing has been around 17 years ago. You could say this happened around the same time as Jurassic World. Like that's fine. So there's that. Quick positive again though. I the D-Rex moving through the mist all quiet like great contrast to the Rex with it being like announcing itself with the walk and the ripples in the water, like it being just so spooky. The part where it comes out of the fog holding the helicopter, love that. Terrifying in my nightmares, love it.
The whole thing was just disturbing.
Yeah. I had seen a bunch of people theorizing that it was going to act like it was in pain and shuddering and shaking, and it didn't do that, which was, I think, unfortunate because that would have been really cool and creepy. But as is, it was fine. Let me think. The mosasaur, I was a little confused by because I was super ready for it to be believable that there was a bigger, more dramatic mosasaur that they built at this island, since this was for Jurassic World. But no, this is our girl. This is our mosasaur, and I guess it makes sense because it's a reptile that's a completely different color and changed in the last 5 years. I, as a nitpicky little bitch, was not thrilled about that, but I guess it's fine.
I didn't really track whether or not it was the same one. It doesn't surprise me that it would be, though. I don't know.
It makes more sense that it is the same one because you're not going to have a lot of mosasaurs in your back pocket. And I'm torn because I think this is the best the mosasaur has ever looked. This beautiful green, this great big lizard whale, but like she's been like blue and gray for every other movie. So all of a sudden,
maybe it was captivity. Maybe captivity doesn't look good on the mosasaur.
Fair enough. That's what happens to orcas. So okay, fine. But yeah, in that case, it was cool that the mosasaur finally got like a real sequence. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah. Agreed. I always felt weird about it in Jurassic World because as cool as the moments we get are, it all feels a little bit manufactured. It's kept in this, for its size, way too small tank. It can't really do a whole lot. Yeah. And in order for it to get involved, we have to kind of like beat the water. And to me, as cool as those moments were, it was always like, but you had to figure out a way to get it there so the mosasaur could be involved. This one, they're hunting it down. We're in its natural environment. It has mutual hunters with it in the Spinosaurus. That's great. So like there's a lot of cool going on
Yeah.
with the mosasaur.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I do agree. Some people thought that it was gonna come back in the end and eat the boat, like the last boat, like the. I did too. I was like, are we fine with this? Is anyone spooked? No. Okay. Other negatives we kind of talked about.
Did come out the other side of the island though.
Yeah,
so
we did go across the island. That's again another segue. The family crossed the whole island and had no issues.
They found some pipes and they followed it, man.
I'm torn on the boyfriend peeing scene with the raptors because it was a really cool red herring and an amazing introduction of the Mutodon, and it was terrifying. I kind of wish it would have ended there before he kept peeing because you're throwing the tone around a little bit here.
Agreed.
I'm not upset that the raptors aren't the main antagonist in this. We've had that every single movie. We've done it to death. I do take a little issue with the raptors being completely nerfed. It would have been interesting to see a little more of them. But you're making a statement in a way, though, by just taking them out right away. Not the worst thing, just not my favorite. Because if you're saying there are raptors on the island, then they should be a bigger issue than what they were.
Especially since they tend to be herd animals, and apparently this can support hundreds of giant dinosaurs. So, pack.
I'm gonna be that person. I'm sorry.
I know you're gonna be that person.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that person. So yeah, but the Mutodons were cool, and I do enjoy the sequence we had with them. Going back to negatives, nope, positives. The way that one guy gets eaten by the Quetzalcoatlus crawling up the mountain, amazing. So cool.
It's a great, because like you kind of feel like he's gonna be fine.
Oh yeah.
And then he comes up over the edge and he's inside the mouth.
I think the suspense in that sequence is built up very, very well because. But then quickly after that, Jonathan Bailey falling down and hitting a bunch of leaves and surviving. That's a bit much.
Yeah, it's not great.
That's a bit much.
He gets very lucky that he's landing in water, and they also get really lucky that the stairs end there.
Yeah,
and that stairs are not long. Like he fell stories.
He did,
and by the time he's getting out of the water, everyone else is already there.
Right.
That was a little bit convenient.
It could have been a little bit lower. I don't know if it would have been better or not for him to like land on a dinosaur and then like.
Yeah,
they tumble and crash together. Don't know if that's too much as well. It felt like a bit much. I said before in a different conversation, I think the Quetzalcoatlus nest is too small. That's a nitpick.
Yeah,
but I do wish it was bigger.
Especially if you imagine like 6 eggs, all of those little hatchlings in that space.
And then I don't want to bog the movie down like Dominion. However, I do not think we see enough dinosaurs. You don't have to give me a sequence with every single one, but we don't have enough look at that herd of whatever, look at that thing doing whatever. Like, we don't have enough of that in this. We see trees rumbling and roars in the distance too much. It's almost like they couldn't hire dinosaurs. Because we only see the Titanosaurs, Quetzalcoatlus, D-Rex, Mutodon. We don't see the raptor. The Spinosaurus, we see an Ankylosaurus for a second. We see a dead Parasaurolophus and a Dilophosaur chewing on it.
They were so mean to my girl in this.
The Parasaurolophus?
The two times you see a Parasaurolophus, it's dead as lunch, or it's getting painted over in the museum.
Yep.
Like, what's the hate about, man?
Yeah. We needed a field scene of like a Chasmosaurus, which is just a more dramatic Triceratops or something like. We needed a little more of that because you said there's 24 species that live here. We don't see a lot of them, and we don't. It would even be.
It would stress believability with the family as much as it currently does. That they didn't encounter anybody, that they only encounter peaceful dinosaurs.
Right.
Like maybe they pick up Dolores from Dolores is trailing a pack of herbivores because
and they keep up with the pack because they know, or the herd they could stay within it and they're safer there. That would have been great. That would have been cool. I would have been down for that. And it's just we feel very isolated in a place that's also supposed to be a thriving ecosystem. Like Jurassic Park 2 has that game trail sequence. Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic Park 1 have the massive thriving fields of herds of dinosaurs. Fallen Kingdom has the stampede sequence. Dominion has all the dinosaurs coming together due to the fire. And this one, it feels very much like all the dinosaurs have grown up. They're like angsty young adults that all want their own room, and they don't cross over very much. And
there really isn't a lot of crossover. Like, the closest we get to that sort of thing are fights between the dinosaurs. And I liked in the first one, you see multiple species just kind of like coexisting in a meadow together.
Exactly. Because it's also
more of that.
Very much more of that. Because if we've been here since 2005, there needs to be something sustaining these predators. Because we see mostly predators. Quetzalcoatlus, the Rex, Dilophosaurus, the Spinosauruses, the Mutodons, the D-Rex. Like, we see a dead herbivore, we see the Titanosaurs, which aren't. No one's eating those. We see one Ankylosaur for a second, which almost looks like it's out there by itself. Like, and I guess if you want to get really, really, really picky, slight segue, we see a Dunkleosteus, a dead one, which, where the hell did that come from? That's not a thing that they should have had. The boat in the beginning off the island has the head of one. That's crazy they have that. And then Ali is sitting underneath a megalodon jaw. Where the hell did that come from? Someone's doing that. And then on the island we do see a prehistoric salamander, a Diplocalus. It's in the Ark game. That's the other reason I know what it is. So that's another example of they're making it feel like we're in a prehistoric world. We got the bugs, we got the little ones, we got the salamanders, we got the snakes, we got everything, and we have monsters. So it's a little inconsistent. But those fish, man, where the hell did the fish come from? Who's making fish? Anyway, you got some negatives. I know I've been going a lot. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I end up focusing more on, I guess, character arcs. When it comes to weaknesses, I do have a complaint on this film, but I don't know if it's a fair complaint, because at the end of the day, this film does fit under that category of like horror thriller films where the characters are doomed to die in a lot of ways. There are characters that are doomed to die. And it is always an issue with me when I feel like characters are only there to die, and you just kind of get like this flat character that you're supposed to kind of feel bad for when they die. And you do, but like, I don't know. Like, most of the boat crew feel very expendable to me.
Yeah.
And they put like a little effort into making you care about them dying, but not enough effort where it really makes a difference. So, like, you learn enough about the personalities and the quirks of the characters that, the one guy just speaks French, and you kind of get like the general attitude of the pilot, boat member. I don't remember her name. And you kind of get the, slightly dangerous edge of the one guy who likes to shoot things, but he dies really quickly.
He's also a villain in everything he's in. Like, he's gonna die.
And she dies almost immediately after, because they left her to lug that stuff on her own.
Lady, it's 5 times your size. What do you think you're gonna do?
Leave it. And then the other guy survives until he gets eaten by a giant Quetzalcoatl. So like, a lot of it is just, to me, I get why those characters have to be there, and I get why the movie didn't put a ton of time and effort into like getting you to connect with those characters. And they're fairly competent, so it's not like they're just kind of, fodder for the horror machine like some characters tend to be. But it just didn't, to me, it's not my favorite thing when there are characters that are very one-dimensional that then get killed by the thing, and we're only left with the final girl or whatever. I don't care. But I do feel like they did interesting things with Zora, Henry, and Duncan. And so I'm really glad that those 3 make it to the end of the film, because I don't think it would make sense for any 3 of them to die. The one that would make the most sense for it to die would be Duncan, and trying to like save a kid, because they kind of established that as sort of like a, father who's lost a kid generally has a soft spot for all kids, do anything for anybody's kid. That makes sense. That's a character arc that's common, but a good one and tends to be true, or at least should be. And it feels like the saving him at the end was a good move too. Now, if we're gonna do the sequel thing you talked about, I'm okay with holding off that whole bit, making it a very cheesy, I have to go back to see what I can find sort of situation. That would work perfectly for Zora's character. That would work really well. But I think not knowing if we're getting a sequel, I like that he shows up at the end because it subverts all the other cliche stuff that's already been happening. You know, like we knew we were going to lose those characters because somebody had to die, and we probably weren't going to lose any of the family members, maybe the dad. And so I like the fact that two of our mercenaries and then our nerd make it out with the family. I do feel like and this is not a weird thing to complain about, but this feels very obvious. The dad's leg just kind of gets better.
I didn't notice that, but someone pointed that out.
Yeah, I noticed it because he starts walking on it not even like an hour later. He like does this whole thing with a cane, and then the next time we see him, he doesn't have a cane and he's just walking. So like,
oops.
If he just turned his ankle and it hurts a little bit, I could see that working, but they played that off like he was gonna need some time to heal,
Right.
and that just doesn't happen in the film. He doesn't even like get it set in a splint or anything. So why include that bit at all? Find a different reason for him to be down and out when Vanessa or Teresa, sorry, I thought her name was Vanessa halfway through the movie, and then it turned out it was Teresa, and I had a hard time adjusting back. So yeah. So when Teresa goes off the boat, give the dad another reason as to why he can't be jumping off the boat, and the boyfriend has to go do it. But the injury, if you're not going to be consistent to it, it's really something that you shouldn't do. Like, don't commit to an injury if you're not going to commit to the injury. Yeah. Or at the very least, have some throwaway line about like, it turns out I think I just twisted it. I'm feeling okay today. When they like camp in the morning, or even at night when he's like, it's feeling better already. Like, let's make it believable.
Something.
Yeah, it's weird to just drop that and it not be an issue at all for the rest of the film. It is great that the business guy gets eaten by a dinosaur.
Yeah, he's cartoonishly evil in this world of very believable characters, I would say. I kept expecting there to be a different reveal. Like he was a part of Engine who needed something to do something for someone. Like he was getting DNA for Henry or something. Like not our good Henry, our other Henry Wu, because he's just so cartoonishly devoted to getting this.
I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they gave us two important Henrys in this franchise. That's a terrible choice. It's a terrible choice. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
It just felt like too much. He's handcuffing the case to his arm. He stole a gun from a crashed helicopter that people didn't seem to see.
See, the letting a girl fall into the water so she doesn't call for help and he can get what he needs. That lines up. It's a little cartoonish villain, but that lines up with something that like a normal decision a bad guy would make, right? Getting a gun from a pilot. Also, perfectly normal decision that really anyone in that situation would make. Sure. And then I think where it gets cartoonish is when he like suddenly has handcuffs and pulls them out and handcuffs his hand to the briefcase. I'm like, dude, did you just have those in case this exact situation came up?
Right.
Have you kept them in your pocket the entire time? That's crazy. I think, and then the whole like gaslighting bit where he's just saying she's crazy, she's hysterical, she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's just classic evil behavior. People do that all the time in real life.
I think you could have done it better because it's like a really bad version of Burke from Aliens, because it's basically the same thing, and you could have done something like that where it's like way more subtle. Like him doing stuff to try to get the family eaten while they're all on the island together, or so on and so forth. I don't know. I
expected him to get darker faster, where like he would be someone would find out his secret, and so he would intentionally let them get eaten or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really, he does one bad thing that makes him definitely a bad guy at the beginning of the film, which is let Teresa fall. And that is the only truly evil thing he does until the end of the film. Now, granted, you could argue that putting people's lives at risk to make a bunch of money off of medicine that people desperately need, that's generally evil as well. But if we're talking like full on selfish, morally disgusting actions that he takes in this film, the only thing he really does until the end is let Teresa fall off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And that we could have seen a little bit more of a descent into villainy for him rather than just the one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something a little different there, because it's also
Mm-hmm.
I understand the evil motivation of not wanting her to notify or call for help, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, they've already done it 28
Mm-hmm.
clicks away. So there's already this idea of maybe people out and about looking for whoever, and you're super uber creepy rich. You know, you could try to argue your way out of this. Like, what's gonna happen to you if it's found out you're here? That it's illegal. Yeah, it's illegal, but like, people have been doing this for a while, and you could just, you're a big bad guy. Frame people. You know, blame others.
Yeah.
Say you were kidnapped. I don't like.
Yeah.
Gloss over it. You don't have to go straight to cartoonish villainy.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm not sure I totally believe his motivation either, because he really wants to be there in the sense that he really wants to.
That too.
Like, why is he on the mission?
Why are you there? What are you offering?
Is it literally just that he doesn't trust anybody and he has to be there because he doesn't trust them? Is he really going to risk his life? It's like, the way it's presented to us, we have to believe that the character is so invested in this prophet that he's putting his life on the line willingly several times over. He knows that what he's doing has a high fatality rate, and he is still the one actively going. He's not even sending a trusted advisor. He doesn't have like a bodyguard he's sending with them.
Yeah.
He doesn't even bring a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little weird that this guy's on the trip, if we're really being honest about it.
I guess
I was thinking
Zora
maybe there'd be another reason
for him, like he
That's
hires her.
fair.
But even so,
Fair.
it is.
He didn't know her before the mission.
Yeah.
You know, it's
like he's not even a part of NGen. Like, it's not his island. It's strange that he goes.
It's not like he has some sort of insider knowledge that he has to be there to share with them.
Right.
I had that question early on in the film, and then I just kind of went, I'm just going to accept it. And now as I'm thinking about it, no, it actually does kind of bother me that there wasn't like a real reason for him to be on the trip.
Yeah. There's definitely more to say. There's more to digest, and I'm sure there will be as we go on and rewatch. We're kind of at our time. I would say, though, in my mind, all things considered, this is still like a notch above Jurassic Park 3 for me. I don't find it as annoying. I think the dumb things are very similar. And so for me, I'd say it's a whale. It's, not by much.
It's a whale.
But it's a whale. I had fun, and I would...
Like, if we're talking rewatchability for Jurassic Park films, it's like the first one, Jurassic World, and this one, I think.
I would this one is close to Fallen Kingdom for me, and like I see why people may not like it, but the things that I like about it I like a lot. Though I think this one makes less sense than Fallen Kingdom. I think Fallen Kingdom is a hidden gem. The whole, how did this island happen though? How did everything escape?
Yeah.
And what did people not do right or do wrong, whatever, like that's gonna bother me until we get like an explanation, which I imagine eventually we will, because the Jurassic Park franchise is pretty good about filling in gaps, even if it's later. We know a lot about the Spinosaurus now, even though we do not find out about it in the movie. So I'll just have to be patient. But yeah, we have finished another.
Hopefully the franchise
marathon.
keeps going, because it's pretty good.
It will, yeah.
And people keep pointing out, they're like, Jurassic Park, the first one at least, and really all of them, such wasted lessons. Because the reason this franchise, it's almost oxymoronic or paradoxical. The reason this franchise will continue to succeed is because no matter how goofy the plot is or character motivations are, there are dinosaurs to
Yeah.
be seen
Yeah.
in this movie,
Uh,
which means that if anyone were to actually make dinosaurs in the real world, there would absolutely be people that go see the dinosaurs on the park, no matter how many Jurassic Park films they've seen. And
yeah.
yeah, I'm probably one of them because the chances that the dinosaurs break out are high, but the
Uh-huh.
chances that the dinosaurs break out on the day that I go
Are
seems kind of
low.
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 So let me just go ahead and roll those dice because I
Yeah.
want to see some dinosaurs. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do it.
No, I feel it. I do think this will be a bigger conversation as we move forward and all that. There are different things you could do with this franchise, with the
Hmm.
material set before us. I have seen some people say
Hmm.
this is basically just the first movie done again. We hit the same kind of beats. I can see that. It's not quite Force Awakens and A New Hope, but it is similar.
No, that's more Jurassic
Um,
Park and Jurassic World, I would
yeah,
argue.
but I just mean like I think the whole dinosaurs are dying, and so they are kind of isolating themselves to this band of equator space. You could have done that. Like you didn't have to introduce a new island. If you're
Yeah.
gonna
I
introduce a
thought it
new
was
island,
weird that they specified that and
yeah,
then really didn't do anything with that world
right,
building.
yeah. If we're gonna do a new island, I think, as I said before, it should have been all weirdly scientifically accurate dinosaurs or all weirdly Indominus Rex older siblings. Like that
Mhm.
would make it feel different. That would be something new to explore a little more. I do have to give them props though for making it one more movie without introducing dino human hybrids. They've been flirting with that
Mhm.
forever. They held off one more time. I'm down for that because as soon as we get there, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to deal with that. I theorized that there was human in the Indoraptor. Never confirmed that though.
Yeah, it looked kind of
So
fleshy.
it was well. It's because of how smart it was. That went beyond Raptor. But
Mhm.
we haven't done it yet. So as long as we're not there, success.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. What are you gonna nickname this Rex? I don't know if it's official name yet, but all the other ones do. We got Rexy, Buck, Doe, and I think like Baby or
Oh,
something. I was calling him
well, if
Chonker.
we're going Joker,
He's
that's pretty good.
chunky. Yeah.
I was gonna go the direction of like Sleepy or
Yeah. I was
something like
the first
that.
one I thought was Snorlax, and then I was thinking
Sleepy
Chonker.
Joe.
Sleepy Joe. It's Sleepy Joe. All right, fair enough. Well, that's us. We're starting a new marathon next week.
Yep.
Yay! It's a rough one, man. It starts so strong, and it's a big old downward slide.
We're hoping for a very fun end
Oh
for
yeah.
it,
Oh
though.
yeah.
So
We're hoping.
fingers crossed
Fingers
again.
crossed. All right. That's it.
Knock on
That's
wood,
it.
all that
That's it.
stuff.
Yep. All right. Bye.
That's all we got. Bye, everybody.